Thanks for being here today, Scotty. I am really excited to show the audience what I've been watching of your talent, and Stevie will be joining us in the second segment. So I think this will be a really fun episode. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's talk about your start in this because, obviously, it's called hydroflight athlete. That's what you are. It's gained popularity over, I don't know how much time, but I know you started quite a long time ago. So how long have you been doing this?
So I've been doing it for a little over 10 years. So the sport originated in France in 2012. And then that year, they started shipping equipment over to certain people to allow them to test in the United States. And I was lucky enough to get my hands on one of them. So I was one of the first guys in the United States that started really getting involved in it. And so the way I got involved was I was looking for a job, surprisingly, on Craigslist because I was just looking for a new career, something fun to do for the summer while I maybe go back to college. I didn't know exactly which direction I was going. And this job was called flyboarding, and it was, so I Googled it. I was like, wow, that looks really,
That's a job.
here's a job and I could do this. So I'm like, that's perfect for summer. It's just going to get in there. It's kind of like jet ski rentals or something. You get in there, have fun for the summer, and then really crunch down and start figuring out what I want to do as a career. And so I applied for the job, got it, and then I started doing it in Lake Chelan. So I started teaching people. That was the goal, was to open this business up in Chelan and then continue to teach people to learn how to fly. Because
Was that different? Because you called it something else other than hydroflight. So you
originated. Yeah, so the sport was started called flyboarding based off of the original board that was built to fly the jetpack, was called a flyboard. So then everybody kind of acknowledged the sport as flyboarding. And then as other companies started coming in and developing their own technologies and their own devices, then we had to not generalize the name as flyboard anymore, but open it up to hydroflying, which was like a more unique way of explaining what we're doing.
Had you been an athlete before? Like, had you snowboarded? Were you familiar with a board or balancing on even skis? What was your experience up to that point that made you think I can do this? Did you water ski?
Yeah, so I've water skied before, wakeboarded, I've snowboarded, familiar with skydiving a little bit. So just stuff like that. So I've done a lot of extreme sports, motocross. I raced professionally for a while. So that was like where I felt very confident I could catch on quick enough to be a teacher in this.
So now, was there fear attached at all in the beginning learning, or you kind of took care of that with the other things you already knew?
So it's a combination of both. So being that I was a pioneer of the sport, there was a lot of learning to do, and there's a lot of
learning
mistakes.
curve, really, right?
Yeah, so there was a lot of mistakes that were made. Like, for instance, when we started flying, people wouldn't get the clamps on tight enough to hold the hose onto the device, and so you'd be up flying around thinking everything's good, and then all of a sudden you go shooting off the end of the hose and crash, or the person that was flying you on the jet ski didn't know what he was doing, so he was controlling your life and everything at the same time, so you were kind of going up and down and crashing, and so there was a lot of learning curve with all that. And so I guess I took the blunt of it, I guess, when it comes to learning. So when I teach other people, I know those avoidant things to not have to worry about. So yeah, there's definitely learning.
Just like you said, jet skiing, or is it something like, when you go parasailing, is it something that people can do like on vacation that resorts let you rent some time to do it?
Yeah, so exactly. So that's why we got into that, was a rental business to start doing that. But then we do a lot of like locations, say like Hawaii. That's why I ended up moving over there. Presented it over there first with me, and so we did it over there to just teach people. So all the tourists that would come in, basically. So like a lot of those places, like you can go to Japan to do it. Like Florida had a lot of locations. California had some decent locations. So a lot of places that were like destination places, it ended up because it started to blow up real fast, and everybody wanted to, as a kid, you always wanted to fly. So that was like something, if you seen that in a flyer at your hotel, you were like, I have to do that. And so I was one of the guys in Hawaii that was able to teach people. So it was very fun to give people that experience.
Right. So so you're starting out and you're doing it, obviously the acrobats and things that you do, obviously you don't do with the newcomers, with the people who are just on vacation wanting to feel like they fly. I'd imagine if I did, I'd want to be like maybe 5 feet off the water, like not very high. I would probably be a little scared, but I'm a scaredy cat anyway. But so you just go with people's comfort level, and then you save the real fancy stuff for when you're competing or when you're performing.
Exactly, and it's all based off of the performance of the person because surprisingly, sometimes, like, I'll be like a group of people that'll be like a boyfriend, girlfriend, and surprisingly, like, the girlfriend will do way better than the boyfriend because typically, because she'll listen because she is more scared. The guy's like, "I got this," and we'll just kind of turn
Right.
he turns it off, so it's kind of funny to see where they land. But I mean, some people I've got up and just naturals. They do really, really good. And then I've had professional wakeboarders that you would think would just catch on like that, can't do it at all. So it's just because they're gotten their profession is where they're at. So it just depends. But yeah, there's some people that I'll keep them up only just a few feet out of the water. And then there's some people I've had about 20 feet their first day out. Like it just really depends on how comfortable I am and how comfortable they are. So I have to be, they have to be jiving on each other.
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to bring Stevie back on, or bring Stevie on for the first time. And we'll talk about how you two met and the team that you are in this sport. And also just the layers of trust. You already talked about the jet ski person, the equipment that, has to be working well. Her trust in you, you trust in her. It's quite a layered performance you guys give. So let's take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. We are back talking with Scotty and Stevie. I met you guys recently at an outdoor function, and I don't know how the subject came up, but found out that you're hydroflight athletes, and you have an interesting story of how you came together. You had shared with me, Stevie, that you created a flyer for Scotty when he got the gig from Craigslist in exchange for a lesson that he never gave you.
That's correct. Yep. We were friends over 16 years ago. We met, and then I was in school for graphic design at the time, and he was just starting out with this crazy thing I'd never heard of, and it's like, sure, send me a picture. And when I look back at the flyer, it was really actually pretty terrible. Not very high quality flyer. but yeah.
Glad you saved it. That's fun.
Yeah. We just stayed friends ever since.
But you were kind of hopping around at that point, Scotty, right? You were good to your word. You just weren't around. You were in Texas and other places.
Yeah. So at first, like I said, I originated in Chelan. I did that for a summer, and then we were like, how can we like promote this year round? Because Washington State's only got 3 months. So the guy that was investing in all these different locations, he's like, let's get you to Hawaii. So I was like, yes. So like I'm down with that. So he flew me over there. I stayed there for 5 years, and all I did was teach. That was like an everyday thing. I would just teach and teach and teach. And then, like you said, I moved to Texas. But I moved to Texas because I started performing like worldwide within shows or competitions. So I was doing both. And then, so I started getting teammates and stuff. So then the only way I was able to train like on a regular basis was with teammates. So then I packed up my stuff from Hawaii like in 5 years, and then I moved to Texas. So I was down in Spring, Texas, which you talked about.
I figured that out. That I lived in Spring for many years, and what we said, I never mentioned the name of the town because nobody knows where it is, but it's literally one exit before it's the exit that changes it from Houston to Spring. So
Yep.
Just the one exit.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I lived there too. Well, now let's talk then about the two of you now are a couple and you perform together. And so we're showing clips through this. And at the end of the show, we're going to have you kind of explain what you're doing in the last segment. But for now, when you two came together, you were very skilled. Obviously, you'd been doing this for a long time by then. A couple of years ago is when you came together. So Stevie, was there reluctance? Did you have full trust? Did you have a background that enabled you to be kind of a natural at this?
I mean, I was really into acro yoga for many years. And so I was always like the baser, though. I'm pretty tall. So I was always like an acro base, which if you look up acro yoga, it's like essentially kind of what we do on the flyboard, where you're lifting a partner or you're doing pretty crazy moves that if you drop the person or you fall, it could hurt. So my mind actually was really excited. The first time he took me flying, I instantly was like, what can I take from my acro background and put into flyboarding and or hydroflying? And it was just really exciting. I don't think I ever really had fear. I love to fly. Like, I love to see airplanes. I love to hike to the top of mountains and see like from a bird's eye view. So it was
Fear of heights. No fear of
no, it was a dream come true for me, really, to start flying. And then he started teaching me to fly myself, so I could kind of understand what the board felt like, so it would make me a better partner for him.
Yeah, so you are a partner when you do this together, but you were able to learn on your own. Just, I would imagine it helps you in your skill level just to understand what it is he has to do and have respect for his role in all of it.
Yeah, it gives you total respect for what he does when you go and try to do it yourself. Yeah, there's just no way I could think about having somebody on there with me doing what he does with me. You know, we'll show you some of the fun things we do, but it's pretty amazing what he's able to do with me on the board.
You were telling me that you actually hold kind of a similar thing, that you're operating the whole time while you're also doing the things with her while you're up in the air.
Yeah, so there's a lot of components involved. So when you first start, you just get the basic, get your feet wet with just learning to move your feet. Somebody else is controlling the jet ski, which would be me or another instructor. So you're just concentrating on just balance alone. And just that alone is a lot for somebody to take on. So just for your first time going up doing that, we've had people come in, and just a comparison is they come out with their GoPro stick and they want to take a video of them flying, and they cannot fly at all when they have just that other component they're thinking about. I take that from them, they start flying really good, I give it back to them, they're instantly falling again. So there's just a lot of components and just little things. So you start out like that, and then you work your way up. And as you get to a professional level, now you take over the jet ski role. So the driver, that would be another instructor, you take his spot, and there's a wireless controller that you have in your hand. And now you control the jet ski. So you control the thrust of that and the way it moves and everything like that by the way you fly. So now you add another component to it, but then it's all on you to do everything. And then you add a person, and then now you just added another one as well. So it gets complicated, but it makes it so much more fun. And it's just a unique experience.
So I'm guessing that you prefer to be in control of it all.
Yeah, I do. Unless we're doing like some new maneuver that requires a lot of strength, because I got something in my hand, and when I'm holding her, sometimes it's two hands is more preferred at first for the learning, because then you're only holding her with one hand. Once you can do it professionally and you're in a show and you don't want, another driver on there, it just looks that much cooler when you see the jet ski floating in the background with nobody on it. People are like, my gosh, what is that doing down there by itself? There's nobody on it. So it makes it even more exciting. But it does help for takeoffs and landings as well. So I can control the thrust for if I'm picking her up from the bridge, which you guys will probably see in some videos that we shared with you. Things like that, so I can get the precision height that I need. And then when she jumps on, you just add, another 100+ pounds to the unit. So then you have to compensate that with thrust through the, the jet ski. So there's a lot of components that you're thinking about always happening.
Stevie, what's your favorite part of it?
My favorite part? Like my favorite move or my favorite part?
What's your favorite part of being up there? What do you love the most about it?
I just feel really kind of free. You'll see me kind of laying back in some of the videos, and it's just a really like freeing moment. You're not thinking about the stress of what's going on back at land, like
Yeah.
here. And, we have had things go wrong, mechanical failures, things like that. So, you just kind of clear your mind of like the scary things that could happen and just kind of enjoy the moment. So I love the entertainment part of it. Like both of us like to entertain people. So
it's a performance for sure.
Yeah. People really enjoying it and lining up on the shore. It's so fun. And it's exciting because it's not common around here. So,
and you guys do your training at Lake Chelan.
we do. Yep.
Well, let's take a break. We're going to show some of the videos, and then you'll explain to us, both of you, what you're doing and kind of the technicalities that go into it. So we'll be back with Stevie and Scotty in just a moment. We are back talking with Scotty and Stevie Knemeyer. You are both hydroflight athletes. You're a couple, and you also perform together. So let's get right into some of these videos that you're going to explain to us, the technicalities. The first one, the light suits. You made the light suits yourselves?
Yeah, we did. So we spent, I don't know, almost up to a month probably ordering all the pieces to make these. So we had a show that was a winter show. And it's our first one ever, and one of the first ones ever in the whole world that's ever been done. Because of just the danger of doing anything in the water when it's, you know, below freezing temperatures.
And how cold was it?
19 degrees at Lake Washington. It was weird because we were on the west side and we thought, oh, you know, it doesn't get that cold over there. But they had a really cold spell.
And did that affect your performance, did you feel? Or you just were hyper aware?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because the wetsuits can only be so thick because otherwise you can't bend and move and stuff. So we cut them down to try to make it so we could do it, but made it more dangerous. So it was really cold. Like all the pieces and parts were freezing to the dock. There was just a lot of things happening. And at the very end, everything came together and it worked out well. So yeah, we built the light suits.
Not quite like your days in Hawaii.
No, it was definitely one for the books. And we have talked about, we don't know for sure if we'll ever do one again. So it might have been just that one of a kind thing. Just, yeah.
Well, let's talk then. You said you travel the world doing this. This next video is from Ireland. And there's some rocks under that wall. And tell us about that experience.
So I go to Ireland actually quite a bit, but this is the first time we've ever done a tandem thing. So we got invited back to do a tandem show. So it's a huge festival that they do in Ireland. They put together. It's kind of like what they do here in Wenatchee, like the Apple Blossom Parade kind of thing, like that, where the whole town gathers together and they have all these fun things going on, and we're one of the performers at their events.
And you said you were talking, Stevie, about being honest, and both of you said, "Hey, this didn't. We actually had a big fall here, and so." Here's the fall. What can you say about that?
Well, that was one of 3, I think, crashes we had that weekend, which whenever you're performing is like the worst thing. You feel like it happened in the moment, but it's funny to us now, and it shows the realness that there is dangers, that things do go wrong. Mistakes get made. There's equipment failures. We don't exactly still know what happened. We just kind of over-rotated on our backflip, and we just kept going. My main concern is though, because there is risk with Scott being strapped to the hose, that it could drag him under the water. So in my mind, I thought, did something break? Is he going to start getting sucked under and potentially drown? And so I just instantly grabbed him and started swimming to the jet ski. You know, once I realized, okay, we're not hurt. Our pride is a little hurt. Let's just get him safe and get back. And then there's a picture, which would be funny to show, me sitting on the jet ski, and I just have this big smile on my face because, you know, it's
So
I'm stoked. I'm wearing a dress. I'm soaking wet. You know, my hair is just down, and I'm thinking, oh man, the show must go on.
yeah, the performance was supposed to start with me picking her up like she was just a girl from the audience. So I come up to the wall, the rock wall, pick her up, take her out flying, do some dancing with her, a couple tricks, and then put her back to the wall. She could be completely dry, untouched by the water, and that did not happen. So that's the realism, like she said. So that's the realism of it, is accidents do happen, and when you're at this level, you know, it might not even be you. It could be the equipment failures. There's just other things.
So some people really were buying that you picked her up off the wall, and then you ended up having that accident, thinking it might have been part of the show for all they know.
You know,
Yeah. So,
they enjoyed it. They were cheering.
yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of like that. You watch any event like racing or something, you know, sad it is, people are excited for the crashes, you know, like it's just part of it.
Well, luckily no one was hurt. And so then the show in Chelan, this is the last video from the main bridge there. Obviously, that's probably one of your most comfortable places to perform because you do it so much. You practice there. It's got probably a lot of the people that support your work that show up for you. So tell us about what it's like to do it that close to home. I mean, obviously, Hawaii is a nice place to be too, but what does it mean to be in Chelan?
Well, it was kind of a dream come true for us. So we decided on what was it, Labor Day before this show, decided to have him pick me up off the bridge. And we weren't sure if we were going to get in trouble, to be quite honest, because it says like no jumping. So, I'm like, well, we aren't jumping, we're flying.
Ask forgiveness, not permission. Yes.
Right. So our video goes viral on Facebook. And from there, that's how the coordinators found us for the show. It's the Bruise on the Bridge event in Chelan. And they reached out to us and asked if we would want to perform. And we were like, yeah, that was our very first actual scheduled performance after we'd spent like all summer practicing and just trying new things. And we made a routine, and you can see me in the videos that I'm kind of looking at my hand because we had wrote down the moves on our hand so we wouldn't forget what one to do next. So
That's how fresh it was.
that we didn't, it was like, oh, it's kind of cheaty. I'm looking at my hand because we didn't really have it memorized. In the moment, you forget. You're so excited. There's so much going on. His controller actually quit working, and we had our friend on the throttle. And that's scary on its own because I'm used to him in control. Now I put not only his,
Your trust in him. Mm-hmm.
yeah, now I've got this other guy that I'm distrust as well.
We trained him day of as well. So.
There's a whole crowd of people, hundreds of people watching. What could go wrong,
Well, this is so much fun. It's been a delight to have you on and get to show everyone what you do. I'm sure people locally are familiar with your story, but I appreciate you sharing it here as well. So keep up the good work, stay safe, and thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.